So the last week has been pretty dramatic, actually. Unfortunately not dramatic in terms of improvement. That's really not happening at all. Which is the reason for the other drama. My doctors shocked me by dropping a little bombshell on me with the word transplant. They let me know at the beginning of last week that they wanted me to get the workup to get listed for a transplant. I was stunned because, as far as I knew, in order to be transplanted, your lung function had to be below 30%, and mine is still in the low 40s. So I thought that I had more time till we got to that point. We've talked about transplant before and discussed what it would look like. We've discussed that I'm someone who they would want to start the workup process and get me listed sooner than later, because I do have a history of having sudden sharp drops in my lung function and in my health, and they wouldn't want to risk waiting and having me suddenly get too sick to get a transplant. So it has been a topic of discussion, but it was a topic of discussion for the future, for later down the line. I thought I had a few more years left before we got to that point. But apparently, the fact that I've been having such frequent, lengthy, severe CF exacerbations, and more importantly, that I've been so minimally responsive to treatment, that's enough to make me eligible for a lung transplant. So that was unexpected, kind of terrifying. Lung transplant is not a walk in the park. There's a reason it's not like the go-to treatment. It is very much a last resort treatment because it is dangerous, it's risky, there's a lot of risk of complications, and it's very unpredictable. You have people who, are 10, 20 years post-transplant doing great, and you have people who don't make it past a year or two. So they're not gonna go for a transplant unless you're already out of options and out of time, because they don't want to give you a treatment that could end up shortening your life. That's kind of counterproductive. So yeah, a little bit terrifying. More than a little bit terrifying, very terrifying. Definitely terrifying to know that I'm approaching last resort stage. I knew that I was approaching it, I just didn't realize that I was already there. So that was a bit of a shocker. At the same time, also kind of a relief, because honestly, the last several months have been terrible. My quality of life has been pretty low. I spend a lot of time in the hospital, a lot of time on home IVs, a lot of time just being very sick and really not able to live. I've been doing a lot more surviving these last few months and a lot less living. And it was getting very tiring. It's very difficult to keep fighting when it feels like no matter how much effort you put in, that you end up going backwards. It's pretty demoralizing and kind of takes the fight out of you. So there's definitely a big part of me that was relieved to hear that I don't have to keep doing this anymore, because the thought of slogging through, a few more years that look like these last few months was just a nightmare, and I wasn't sure how I was going to manage it. So for them to tell me that I don't have to do that, that my quality of life is also a factor in terms of determining whether I'm eligible for a lung transplant. It's not only about the numbers. So that was actually a relief, because I'm tired, and it kind of actually like revitalized my will to fight, because I know that transplant is grueling, but I can do grueling. I've done grueling. I can hang on by my fingernails. I can fight as long as I'm getting somewhere. And at least with transplants, all the pain and all the fighting has the potential to actually make a difference, versus what's been happening now, which is that no matter what I do and what my doctors do, nothing is making a difference. So I would rather take the chance. So that means that the rest of my week was spent with test after test and consult after consult, and it was just like a crazy whirlwind of testing and information, and my head is still kind of spinning, and I know that I'm going to need a lot more time to process all of this and figure it out and deal with it. And we're still not guaranteed as to, when we would list me. I mean, I'm still not 100% approved yet. They did meet and discuss my case and pretty much said that as long as the rest of the tests come back fine, that yes, I'm a candidate. They're going to be meeting again next week to make like a final determination. And then we haven't decided, even if they do determine, yes, you're eligible, we haven't decided if we're listing me right away, because we are still trying a couple more antibiotics and seeing if they have any impact. If we can get me, moderately functional, get me, some minimal, more than minimal, some basic improvement in quality of life, then we won't list me and we'll wait a little bit longer. But even if we manage that, they don't anticipate it being more than a few months down the line before we would end up listing me. It's really a question of, are we listing me now, or are we listing me a few months from now? Because I'm at the point where I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to antibiotics. So far, my Pseudomonas infection has become resistant to just about everything. We're trying like the last couple things. We're gonna try treating the mycobacterium and see if that makes a difference. But all in all, I'm mostly out of treatment options. I've been here now, well over a week, almost 2 weeks, and really haven't seen any improvement with all the treatment that they're giving me. So if that continues to happen, then we list me, because clearly we're out of options and nothing is working. One thing that I'm kind of holding on to is I was admitted on the Jewish holiday of Purim, and my Rebbitzin Purim night, we knew I was going to be admitted the next day, and she actually said to me, she's like, you know what, maybe Purim is exactly the right time to be admitted, because Purim is the holiday of V'nahafochu, which means like it turned around. It's the holiday where everything suddenly, unexpectedly turned around for the better. Everything looked terrible, looked like there was no hope, and then suddenly, boom, the whole story switched around. So she said, maybe this is the perfect time to go to the hospital because, the last several months have been really bad and really hard, and maybe this is going to be my v'nahafachu. So that was very nice. That was what I needed to hear. Those are some good words of wisdom to go into the hospital with. And I've been thinking about the transplant. That definitely came out of nowhere. Was not expecting that, and is something that looks very scary but also has the potential to be amazing. So maybe the transplant is also going to be part of my v'nahafachu. Maybe this whole hospitalization and this whole process is being fueled by the power of Purim, and I'm going to see a sudden, amazing, unexpected salvation. So yeah, I'm holding on to Purim to get me through this. So yeah, like I said, very intense week. Whole lot going on. Yeah. So apparently my generic CF blog has unexpectedly turned into a journey towards lung transplant vlog. So there's that. So stay tuned for more fun and exciting transplant adventures.